Oh my god, there's a symbiote god now? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Comic Island. My name is Joey, and in the past few years, there's been a lot of attention on Venom and everything related to the symbiote that Spider-Man once wore. So today, we're going to be discussing some of the changes, updates, and reboots to the Venom symbiote and all of its hosts moving towards the god of the symbiote, Knull. Knull? Knull. Is the case silent? Anyway, with the symbiote god's introduction, we finally get an answer as to where Gore the God Butcher's Necro Sword came from. Already, roll the intro. How to pronounce Knull? Yeah, I still don't get it. Alrighty, so today we're going to primarily discuss the introduction of the new god of the symbiotes. But before we get into that, let's go through a bit of history and catching up as to what Venom and his many hosts has been up to in the last little while. Let's rewind back to 2015, the year of Marvel's epic second Secret Wars event. The Avengers sent Agent Venom Flash Thompson into space with the Guardians of the Galaxy as their representative and to keep tabs on the Guardians and their cosmic adventures. Space did strange things to the symbiote, making it act rash and violent. It leaves Thompson and begins to bond with almost all of the Guardians of the Galaxy, starting with Venom Groot, then Rocket Raccoon, and finally Drax the Destroyer. This is where we are taken to the planet of the symbiotes and the discovery that these symbiotes are not horrible monsters as we all have thought. The universe fears and hates these symbiotes, but in actuality, they are so much more than the violent, parasitic monsters that everyone believes them to be. Once the Guardians arrive on their home planet, the mother symbiote explains that there have been a lot of rumors that just aren't true about them. They are called by many names, but they prefer to be called the Clintar. This is the first time Marvel has ever given the Venom symbiote an origin species name, and this is huge in the Venom lore. Moving along. They are now warriors with noble intentions, but they need to have a special relationship with a host body in order to carry out their noble mission, which is to help those who cannot help themselves. Unfortunately, if the Clintar bonds with a host that isn't worthy, the host can push their will on the Clintar, twisting its noble purpose, making it violent, and separates its mind from the collective. This is why the Clintar gets a bad reputation in the universe. These damaged Clintar, after leaving its original corrupted host, can cause even more chaos and destruction when bonded to any host after the first, because they have left the collective and can act on their own free violent will. After the awesome history lesson, the symbiote collective purged and purified Venom back to its original noble form. It rebonded with Flash, cured him of his cancer, and turned him into Venom, the agent of the cosmos, with an awesome new armored look. Their new mission is to carry out the Clintar mission to serve as the agent of the cosmos. Flash then leaves the Guardians behind and begins his own adventures in Venom Space Knight, where he teams up with a suicidal robot, a space panda, other Clintar warriors calling themselves Space Knights, and eventually Venom returns home to rescue his student Andy Benton, aka Mania, from the Hellmark curse. But this is when it all went sideways for Venom. Flash gets blindsided from an unknown assailant and loses his symbiote. Venom then finds the closest suitable host in Lee Price, an ex-military operative who has a vision to become the next crime boss. Somehow, the symbiote was unable to exert its control over the host, which allowed Lee Price, whom has mastery over his own willpower due to his time in the military, almost complete control over Venom. He nearly took over Black Cat's operations until Spider-Man had separated the two and put Price in prison. But this is where we come full circle if you are a fan of Eddie Brock Venom. Spider-Man brought Eddie Brock in to help fight Lee Price Venom. After the separation of Price and Venom, Eddie broke into the military compound containing his once best friend. The two are reunited once again, and this reintroduces us to fan favorite Eddie Brock Venom. Together, the two fought alongside the Devil Dinosaur, Moon Girl, the original 5 X-Men, Spider-Man, and even had encounters with Flash Thompson, the once host to the Venom symbiote, now sporting a new anti-Venom armored look. Lee Price does come back into Venom's world when he gets released from prison and takes Mania symbiote for himself. Now called Maniac, Lee Price takes control of Black Cat's entire criminal organization with a new ability never seen before. By spitting symbiote goo onto the eyes of others, Maniac can take control of their minds, allowing him to create an army full of loyal soldiers. The heroes of course wins the day again, but only when Venom teams up with Spider-Man, Black Cat, and of course the new Agent Anti Venom. I do want to get deeper as to how this all takes place, so please let me know if you want more details so I can make a video explaining in depth as to how it all transpired, but let's move on. Venom Verse is something we gotta talk about before getting into Knull and the first host. Venom Verse is a mega event hitchhiking off the success of Spider-Verse by Dan Slott. The same idea goes where we get introduced to a ton of major Marvel characters in Venom form, and an introduction to a new type of enemy, the Poisons. These intergalactic parasites have one mission in mind, and that is to take control of the Clintar and their host, forming a new mind where the host is slowly eaten away, leaving only the Poison with full control over the Clintar and of its powers. In this story, Eddie Brock Venom gets taken away from his universe and drafted into the Resistance amongst other symbiotes and their hosts from across the cosmos. With dwindling numbers, Brock convinces the Clintar Doctor Strange combo to bring the bloodthirsty Carnage from his world into the war. With Deadpool's sacrifice and Carnage's thirst for violence, the team broke into the Poison's HQ, where Rocket set a bomb to blow the enemy up. Doctor Strange, once kidnapped, is now free and sends the heroes back home to their dimensions, and Rocket's bomb goes off, seemingly blowing up every Poison alive. But they were wrong. The Poisons have learned about the multiverse. Led by Doctor Doom, the Poisons now set their sights on Eddie Brock's home world. With new technology, the Poisons launch a full-scale invasion of Earth Prime, starting with the X-Men's mansion, now located in Central Park. The true mastermind has revealed himself to be an alternate version of Thanos, whom already has been corrupted by the Poison. The Earth he chose is ripe with tons of superheroes waiting to join his Poison army, but the one true prize is a hero whom can create monsters simply by drawing them to life. Keiko Wande, aka Kid Kaiju, is a new Inhuman woken up by the Terrigen Cloud with the ability to draw monsters to life. The Poison army plans to take his powers into their arsenal, and it is up to Venom, his travel buddies, the original 5 X-Men, and the rest of the superhero community to stop them. Now, it is important to mention that during a mission in space, Jean Grey has already been taken by the Poison. As per history, it is expected that Jean Grey is already dead, and the Poison who took Jean Grey's body has access to her memories and will use it against the hero community. Agent Anti Venom's touch was key to repelling the Poison army, and Jane Foster managed to break free from the Poison due to Mjolnir's magic protecting her from the enemy. But the final showdown aboard the Poison ship saw Jean Grey breaking free from her captives and blasting her telekinetic powers at the Queen, which caused a chain reaction, killing most of the Poisons and their symbiote army. Now, Jean Grey did not survive the assimilation when she was taken by the Poison. Her body broke down, and for all purposes, she was dead. But she is the mighty Jean Grey. Her mind remained, and she hung on to until she eventually broke free and reformed her body somehow. As of right now, it is unclear if she is still a mutant or a mix of Poison, symbiote, and mutant combination. With the defeat of the Poison army, we saw the death of 2 D-class heroes, but Jimmy Hudson, the son of Wolverine from the Ultimate Universe, remains still alive. And by alive, I mean he is actually dead, and the Poison is in control. Carnage is also seen alive, but floating through the endless void of space. After the massive team-up of heroes, Venom goes back to the mean streets as its guardian, but he finds out that he is pregnant. This is where we fans gotta suspend all logic and just go with it, because this is getting a bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But let's keep moving forward. The new symbiote offspring is put under Alchemax's care, while Venom discovers that his symbiote was not the first Clintar to arrive on Earth. Now, Eddie Brock has been having really bad nightmares, but this time, it came back in full force when he dreams of a creature by the name of Grendel attacking humans from back when Wi-Fi was not a thing. His blackouts released his Venom symbiote with a new type of ferocity and alien markings. What makes matters worse is his symbiote started speaking in strange alien tongue. Eddie's search for answers led him to a man who took part in the Sim Project, where the military dug up parts of the Grendel creature that they discovered was an ancient Clintar that arrived on Earth a long time ago. The man knew things about Venom that explains our knowledge on the relationship between symbiote and host, such as the host will not age when bonded with the symbiote. With new leads, Eddie tracks down this man's old teammates, whom he discovered are all dead, consumed by their Clintar. But these Clintars bear the same mark as Venom when it was possessed. Shortly after, Venom teams up with Miles Morales' Spider-Man when they discovered an ancient symbiote dragon rampaging through town. Arriving on location, what they discovered was far worse. That symbiote dragon was only a shell which contains Knull, the symbiote god. Now, I am not a fan of origin stories anymore, but this is just the granddaddy of all origin stories that must be told because it ties directly into my favorite comic book story of all time, Thor, the God of Thunder by Jason Aaron. Okay, let's continue. More on that later. Knull reveals himself to Brock, telling him a story of when the universe was born. Knull is an ancient malevolent deity who was alive before the universe itself. Knull retaliated against the Celestials when they began their quest to create the universe. The symbiote god created the Necro Sword and slayed a Celestial by cutting off his head. For that, he was banished into the void, but that will be the Celestials' undoing, because the endless void is where Knull calls home. In his isolation, Knull mastered the forge and refined his living weapon created from his own flesh, the All-Black, the God Slayer, the Necro Sword. This is the same Necro Sword found by Gore the God Butcher. He used this sword to kill and enslave the gods from the entire universe. One of its many powers was to summon Necro Dogs to do Gore's bidding. It is now revealed that these were symbiote creatures. Holy cow, my mind is blown. It took 3 Thors and 2 Mjolnirs to take down Gore the God Butcher, but the story of the Necro Sword does not end there. Please let me know if you want more details on the Necro Sword in the comments below. Now let's get back to the main story, the symbiote god. With his almighty Necro Sword, he brought chaos and destruction onto the universe and the light until he was defeated in battle. Crash landed onto a strange planet. Knull's sword was taken by its indigenous inhabitant we know to be Gore. With his sword gone, Knull still pushed his work to spread the darkness to the entire universe one planet at a time. He created an army of symbiotes to do just that. It all fell apart when one day, his symbiote Grendel, resembling a dragon, arrived on Earth and was taken out by Thor. Knull's connection to his symbiote army was severed, and his conscience somehow was trapped in Grendel's body, which was on Earth. The army of Clintar were freed from their deity's control. They became tainted with the idea of honor and nobility when they bonded with righteous hosts. This led to the new hive mind like Clintar to form a new order that we call the Agent of the Cosmos. With a new noble purpose, the Clintar formed an artificial planet composed of itself, which they used to imprison their god at the center of the planet. It is also revealed that in their tongue, the word Clintar means cage, a cage for their god. So now we have the conscience of a malevolent deity trapped on Earth and hell-bent on returning home to the Clintar homeworld to reclaim his body and subjugate his symbiote creations. Knull was strong enough to slice the head of a Celestial and survive many forms of injuries that could obliterate a normal human. The Venom symbiote fears Knull enough that it left Eddie Brock wide open to a death blow by Knull's creatures. The full extent of his powers is not yet revealed, but we know how powerful a symbiote can get with all of its many abilities. This is the god of the symbiotes, an entity who can come into existence before the creation of the universe itself, a monster who stood up against the Celestials and survived to tell the tale. And worst of all, it is only his consciousness that has presented itself. To kill Knull completely, his body must be destroyed, but it is safely held away on a distant planet, guarded by enough Clintars to form an artificial planet. A planet we saw when Venom took Flash Thompson and the Guardians too. So enough about Venom. Let's take a look at the origin of the first host. Venom Space Knight issue 8 gave us a first clear glimpse of who Venom's first host is. The first host took Venom back to his home world after they bonded, and according to Venom, the first host was a cruel and twisted soul who tainted Venom in the process. Fast forward to issue 12, Venom rebonded with Spider-Man and showed him a glimpse of the first host who was not worthy of the symbiote. He told Spider-Man that after his cleansing on Clintar, all he remembers was the first host and the most recent host, Flash Thompson. But of course, the symbiote's memory was jolted back when he was once again bonded with Eddie Brock. Now we have a 5-part issue series detailing who the first host is and how he will play a role in Eddie Brock's future. Kree scientists took a plant sample from an unknown world. They hand-selected a recruit and gave him the symbiote and sent him undercover in the Kree Skrull War. He helped his people escape a Skrull ship, but he lost the symbiote in the process. During these missing years, the Venom symbiote somehow came into the hands of a bounty hunter who aided the Poisons during the Venom All-New X-Men crossover event. Afterwards, Venom ended on the battle world where it was Deadpool, not Spider-Man, who bonded with the symbiote first. Side note guys, we are treated to a short issue series which began right after Spider-Man rejected the symbiote at the church bell. The symbiote stayed at the church for quite some time till by chance it bonded with Deadpool. Venompool fought crime alongside Black Cat till he finally gave up the symbiote and returned it to the church where it called home. This is when the disgraced reporter by the name of Eddie Brock arrived at the church and became one with the symbiote. Alright, back to the first host. Again, I'm sorry, I love to ramble. Present day, the first host, a Kree by the name of Telkar, arrives on Earth and kidnaps Venom. A Skrull woman chased Telkar to Earth and warns Eddie Brock that the first host had his body modified to fully integrate with the symbiote. He was subjected to implants that modified his body chemistry to make the symbiote more reliant on him, and he had physical training to make himself immune to the psychoactive effects the symbiotes would unleash onto his mind. Telkar finds a ship and races off into space in seek of a doomsday weapon to end the Skrull. But Eddie Brock, who's newly bonded with the Venom protege, decides to travel into space with the Skrull warrior to stop Telkar and get his symbiote back. Another side note, guys, this new symbiote named Sleeper is a youngling, but it already has a new ability to send out pheromones. He can create mass confusion, bring pure euphoria, and put a whole room to sleep. This ability is much like Dakin's pheromone powers, but on a much grander scale. Eddie, as Sleeper, and the Skrull Warrior managed to get back to Earth with Venom, but Telkar followed them back and attacked when they were most vulnerable. But Sleeper bonded with Telkar and basically lobotomized the Kree. Now, with a new host body, who is an empty shell, Sleeper can do things to his full potential and plans on traveling into space using Telkar's memory as his guide. This leaves Eddie Brock Venom to be a two-minded team once again. So this is where we are with Eddie Brock Venom. Flash Thompson is sporting a new anti-venom body armor look, and Andy Benson got her Mania symbiote back from Lee Price. The poison threat is over with a few straggler poison agents remaining, and Eddie Brock Venom will have to face off against the god of the symbiote, Knull. So what do you think about Venom and its direction in the comics so far? As for me, I had chills reading how Knull came to be. I can't wait for the story to conclude, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video and want to support us, I recommend checking out our Patreon page. The link will be in the description below. Thanks again, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in another Comic Island story.